Okay, so now you've been introduced to the concept of spirituality. We're going to now move into looking at your spiritual pursuit through the eyes of each of the inner children. So how does that look like? What does that look like? Well, first, in order to even have a spiritual belief system, you have to give birth to it. Some of us gave birth to it in childhood when we went to different churches, and then when we got into adulthood, we began to move through that discernment phase. And so some of us turned way against it, some of us expanded on it, some of us stayed with the religious doctrine. Now, I once read, I think it was in a recovery center, that religion is for people who fear hell. Spirituality is for people who have been there and have come back. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that spirituality is more of a belief system that is ingrained and organic within you. Religion can be a dogma that's set out by an organization, and if that dogma resonates with you, then it's also your spirituality. But spirituality is much more expansive. Spirituality can be your relationship to nature. It can be your relationship to family. It can be relationship in recovery to the group itself. So look and determine what your sense of spirituality is. If you're looking at it through the eyes of the infant, then you're going to be looking at what form, what shape your spirituality gives. Do you have a hard time giving birth to that? Then that may be that the infant is just having a hard time bonding with any spiritual belief system that resonates with you. Do you use your spiritual belief system to set boundaries for you? In other words, are you dependent on the external structure to set the boundaries instead of being in tune with those yourself and then having the spiritual belief system support that? A lot of times people hide behind their spirituality or their religious beliefs. Does your spiritual program make you feel shame about anything? And I don't mean kind of an integrity shame. I mean a spiritual shame about who you are as a person. Because to me, a God is unconditionally loving. Now that does not mean I do not hold myself accountable for my behavior. But the difference between shame and guilt is guilt applies to what we do, shame applies to who we are. I don't think any spiritual belief system should make me feel shame about who I am as a person. It should hold me to a higher value about what I do. So you want to look at that. The 6 to 12-year-old really can find great comfort in a spiritual organization because that part of you wants to belong to something. The adolescents are going to look at it through their eyes and look at it from an angle of, does my spirituality make me feel self-conscious? Does it make me feel self-confident? Does it lend itself to building my sense of empowerment? Do I feel rebellious against this? Or do I feel rebellious against others? Do I feel judgmental? There's a lot of spiritual organizations that are very adamant that they are the only way to get to God. To me, that is man-made. I don't think there is one avenue to our spirituality. I think that each one of us is given the opportunity to explore our spiritual pursuit according to what matches our needs this time around. And so you may find that you rebel against that. That's the 15-year-old. Spiritual mastery is when we are able to attain a spiritual belief system and integrate that with our daily activities. We weave our spiritual aspirations with our physical attainments. So with that said and done, let's do an EFT sequence that will address whatever stage of development you may be stuck in. All right. Even though I sometimes find it very challenging to even know what my spiritual belief system is, or I have a variety of reactions to my spiritual belief system. I choose to work with those reactions, to neutralize those reactions, so that I can come into alignment between my human and higher self. So even though I have a variety of responses to my spirituality, I choose now to give myself permission to explore those reactions so that I can come into a place of alignment, so I can operate from integrity, so I can feel at peace with my higher self. All right. He is getting in trouble. Have a lot of different reactions. Really want to heal this. Want to open the door to explore that higher consciousness. Really want to work with these issues so that I come into alignment, so that I feel an integrity, so that I can bring meaning to my life, so that I can harmonize my heart, my mind, and my soul. Any disparity, I am willing to neutralize. I am willing to learn from. I am willing to explore. I now open the door to this exploration. I am so willing to decide, to determine, to detect, to decipher the messages between my human self and my soul. I want more meaning in my life. I want to understand my pain from a broader perspective. I want to honor the inner child as well as the higher domain. I come into this alignment now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, again, the blog has a lot of information. It's got the worksheet on helping you identify which stage of development you might be stuck in. And then tomorrow we'll look at balancing the human and the higher self, a meditation with that. And that's part of the third stage recovery. That's part of balancing the polarizations that we did a couple weeks ago. Thank you.